Hello. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Unfiltered No BS Psychology podcast. Today we have something new. Maybe you've noticed already. Well, it's a video podcast. Many of you have been requesting video format, and I've been delaying it. I was busy and I was delaying it, and I was also kind of self-conscious. I didn't feel as confident to start speaking to you guys on camera. But I worked through my fear and I'm here now with you. And as my first episode on the video format, I want to start with about me. I want to run through my life, where I'm from, till the very right moment now. And I think it's a great way of the first video episode because many of you guys are new. You don't know where I'm from, who am I, what's my life, and why I started the Unfiltered podcast. So let's dive in. You can probably tell that I'm not English from my accent or from my looks. Well, I'm actually from Israel, and I also have Russian roots, Lithuanian roots, and I am Jewish Ashkenazi. And here is my little dog, Kai. Kai, come here. Come here, baby. Let's say hi. So, this is my baby Kai, baby Pom Pom. He is 3.5 years old, and he is a COVID dog. I got him during COVID, when I was lonely and in need of emotional support. So, he is an emotional dog. He's a very good guy. He's a very, very good boy. And you'll be seeing him a lot, so get used to it. Where I'm from and my roots, so I'm Jewish Ashkenazi, and I was born in Israel. I lived in Israel for 5 years. Can I speak Hebrew? Not really. I can understand you, but I can't really have a full conversation with you, and it's something that I'm working on now. I'm getting classes to learn Hebrew. I went to pre-prep kind of nursery thing in Israel, and then we had to move to Russia because of my dad's business. So I lived in Russia for like 5-6 years. I finished 5 grades there. My parents got divorced when I was 6 years old, and they had an agreement that when I turn 11, I will move to UK, to British school, and I will receive a British education. Why is that? Well, first of all, my parents wanted the best for me. They also realized that they're not together, and education in Russia, let's say, it's not the best you can pick if you have the opportunity to send your kids somewhere. Plus, many of my friends, similar ages, they had their kids sent to England. So there I was, literally, without being asked whether I like it or not. I obviously didn't like that decision because after the divorce, I was a very introverted child. I was very attached to my mother. I didn't really make friends easily. I really, really missed my mother, and the idea of me being separated from her literally broke my heart. And it actually did. When I moved to the UK, I went to the most Catholic school you can imagine. Literally in the middle of nowhere, with no connection, no people around you, just many fields, cows, golf course. But I don't think that was of benefit when you were 11 years old. You couldn't reach your parents because obviously they would confiscate all your gadgets and your sweets and anything that can give you pleasure. You'll be wearing the same uniform daily. You'll have a uniform for sports as well because we played different sports for each season, and they was compulsory. We also sang hymns in our little church. So it was a very strict and Catholic school. Did I enjoy my junior school? Not really, because I was really missing my parents, and I was trying to tell them that I cannot do this anymore. And I would cry a lot and tell my mom that, please, mom, can you please collect me and bring me home? But that didn't happen. And I finished my common entrance, which is junior exams, if you look at a British education. And when you do your common entrance and you graduate, you kind of have to move up the ladder, which is senior school. The next logic step was for me to choose and pick different senior schools, and depending on my grades, I will get into one of them. My first choice was, well, I don't know if it was my first choice. Maybe it was also my parents' first choice. It was a very, very Catholic school as well. Very strict, with high reviews, high ratings. It's located in Kent by the main cathedral in King's Canterbury. So, yes, I can say with a lot of pride that I went to King's School, but was it a better experience? Well, it was just because it was a senior school, so we'll just, teachers and the school system will just trust you more. You can have your phone finally, you can have your sweets, you can wear your clothes all for school time. We still had to wear very strict uniform, like a brooch, a shirt, a cardigan, and like this skirt that all girls used to roll with pins because it was so bloody long. And when you're like a young girl, you kind of want to show off your legs. So I remember how we would pin this skirt up or cut it, and then whenever like deputy someone will be walking in front of us, we'll just like roll out the skirt back, or they'll make comments, can you please like lower your skirt, or can you please go to school shop and purchase a new one because this one is obviously too small, too tight, and too short. But the school was massive in comparison to my junior school, massive dining hall, different houses. We obviously, it was girls' houses and boys' houses, but there were many of them around the school premises. I wouldn't say it was really bad times, but I guess because I was a very different kid when I was younger. Well, I told you that I was introverted. I'm a child of divorce. My divorce experience wasn't so great, thanks parents, but we worked through that trauma. I wasn't really popular amongst children because I was very disciplined. I always was committed to my studies. I wanted to, be up on my grades, do my exams well. I, was very disciplined with when it came to revision, when it came to homework. And I didn't really fuck around. Like, I didn't do any substances. I didn't flirt with boys. I was this perfect, disciplined girl. So I got bullied for that. Plus, my hygiene was on point. And sadly speaking, European girls and, well, God, the British girls, that's another story, but they have no idea of hygiene, how that works. Thanks, Mom, for Eastern European lessons on that. So, I would always look after myself. I would not scatter clothes around. I'll get annoyed if someone in my room, my roommate, will just make a mess. Like, I'm not saying, if your jeans are lying on the floor, or like, a casual, let's say, t-shirt or like underwear somewhere, but it was literally a mess. Like jeans, underwear, like face wipes, like why, like some food substances. It was horrendous. It wasn't nice. When my dad actually visited me at King's School, his first and last time, when he walked into this like literally 5 by 5 or even less room, which is for him was like a shock because I come from a family from a background where we either have a house or a flat. It was big spaces, so he was literally shocked to see like how tiny is the room, and there are two people, and like there's literally a separation. Like you can definitely tell that this is where my daughter is, and this is God knows who, because there was literally like a line with all the crap and all the like clothes, paper, like literally rubbish like on one side of the room, and it was the other side of the room was like super sleek, very tidy. My bed was always made, like my desk looks spotless, and I got really annoyed when certain things cross this invisible line into mine. So as you can tell, boarding schools are fun, and some have better experiences, some people have worse experiences. And if you ask me, did I make like a lot of friends when I was at my senior school, specifically at King's School? I would say no, because most of my friends were in London. So you don't get to stay in that school, let's say, the whole year. Of course, you have holidays, you have exeats. Exeats is like long weekends, but I also like left London pretty much every weekend because I had good grades. I would just hang out with my friends in London. I would meet more people through their friends. So I was never like If you ask me now, I don't have best friends who I reach out to from my boarding schools. I don't know if it's good or bad, but just that's how it is. I never really vibe with anyone there, maybe because I grew up and matured at the later stage of my life, not when I was like 14, 15. I was more focused into like family stuff, studying. Of course, I had my first relation when I was 16, but actually that wasn't at boarding school. That was actually from a person outside of the boarding school and who I met through my common friends in London. But we'll get to that later. When I kind of finished my GCSEs at senior school, if you know the British education, you probably know what I'm speaking about. I realized that enough of this Catholic, enough of that. I can no longer do this. It's a waste of my time, like constant matches, traveling to countryside, 2 hours to play like a 1 hour match, eat some cookies, drink some like squash diluted with water, and then drive back to our school. And literally, that was my weekends. I hated like some of the sports that they were doing, like rounders or hockey. I despised hockey. Oh my God, it's like horrible thing, especially for a girl. Like I love netball, I love tennis, but no, not the hockey vibe. And unfortunately, we had to do it and we were split into teams. So I was wasting a lot of my time that I could actually been doing painting more because I was doing fine arts or dedicating more time to revision, like instead of like playing sports that I hate. And I'm a sporty girl. Like if you follow me on Instagram, you know I love my sports. I work out every day, but like certain things I just like when you grow up, you realize it's just a waste of your time, especially if you like sing hymns every morning and then every weekend you have like a service. At one point I had to give a reading in front of like 100 people, and let's not talk about it. It was not a great experience, especially with someone with an accent. Imagine like a teenager girl standing in front of like 100 people. Most of them were teenagers who will then make fun of you. So then I told my parents that, look, of course, I'm still going to be at boarding school, but I kind of want to end things here on this Catholic note and apply to colleges, which are more open-minded, more relaxed, more focused on your career development to help you in the future. I've applied to a couple, and there is one school called Hartwood House. It's looked at as something very creative. So many actors, actresses finished that A-level college. Emily Blunt went there. So that's quite cool. It's quite small and you have a very open relationship with your teachers. First of all, you call them by their name, not by Mr. or Mrs. whatever. They will always dedicate time in their schedule for one-on-ones, follow-ups of something that you're not getting or if you're behind on your grades. Also, there is no uniform, no more brooches, no more shirts, no more like itchy cardigans made of from like polyester, but literally the price tag on them were like as if it was from cashmere. I'm sorry, my parents, that they have to buy so much of that crap. I've applied to this A-level college. I thought I would not get in because it's very competitive. Everyone in the country wants to go there, limited spaces, but I did. I did because I was committed to my education and I was a good girl. And one of my mom's friends, her kids went there. So I was even educated at a very cool house because there are obviously houses where we stay, but now in opposite to the past schools where it was only like one gender houses. You know, we were older, it's from 16. So, you know, it was mixed. So it was a mixed house, obviously separate rooms for like, you know, there's separation of the building for men's side and women's side, but it was a mixed house. It just felt more relaxed. It felt more that I can actually like focus on my things. So I took fine arts, which is quite intense if you've done it at A levels. I took history, I took Russian, but we don't really count Russian because I have Russian roots. So that was just a +1. I took business and media studies. So what's media studies? It's something that specifically that college is super famous for. So the school invests into filming facilities, filming equipment, editing studios, and teachers who literally worked at film productions. I had the opportunity to create thrillers and music videos from zero. And you basically learn all the steps from pre-production to production, post-production. And then on our final year, that was our dissertation. We had to create our music video from literally beginning to the end. And then it went into competition. Our team video won the best mise en scène, which is all the aesthetic bits like the costume, the movement, the graphics, the visual elements, let's say, because that's what we were focusing on. I love aesthetics. So for me, we did a great job, and I'm really grateful for my team. It was a lot of fun, and I will actually link that music video below if you just want to, have a look how colleges approach media studies and how it basically works. Or maybe you're just interested, because I think it's a cool experience. It's incredible how that school had so many facilities. We had green room, we had black room, we had spotlights, literally anything we needed, it was there. And it just gives you a lot of freedom for creativity, because I feel like many schools, they kind of shut you in a box with like your little notebook and textbook that you have to follow. You have to follow rules, and that just gave us more freedom to release our like creativity and identity. Let me just get a glass of water. I'm just like suffocating a bit. Okay. I'm also allergic to pollen, and it's flying everywhere at the moment. And although I take antihistamines, I'm still suffering. Hence, I'm wearing glasses because I don't want to irritate my eyes. Whilst I was doing my A-levels, that was also quite intense, because A-levels, it's literally the next stepping stone towards your future. And the future is the college that you're getting into. University, college, call it whatever you want. So everyone was stressing out, especially like springtime leading to summer, and that was like a lot of stress. I spent most of the time at home revising, because I had great relationship with deputy head of that college, and they trusted me. They knew that I'll be revising, that I have everything on point. So I would literally just like at the end will come in just to take my exam, and then I would just drive back to London. It gave me like this ability to relax and security, because I had everything there. I had tutors sometimes, and then my schedule, my routine. I would have been, a bit nervous, I think, if I stayed this whole time at school while taking my exams, A-levels, because I didn't want to be distracted by anything or anyone. Like, if you speak to my mom, she knows I was literally like stuck in my apartment. Like, I moved apartments when I was 18. I was alone in an apartment with sticky notes everywhere. And yeah, it was literally just me, notebooks, sticky notes, not much of social life, but I don't think anyone has a lot of social life when you're doing A-levels. Whilst I was at A-level college, it all might sound really amazing, me doing arts, also arts department block was incredible. I'm still super grateful to all my teachers. Andy, he's great, the head of arts, and if you're listening, big kiss to you. Thank you so much for checking all my dissertations and all my texts under all my paintings, and just being there for all the meltdowns, let's say. I was also suffering from depression, let's say. It wasn't a mild depression. It started last year of the previous school, so when I was 17, yeah. I had a lot going on. Why did it happen? Well, I think the primary reason was my traumatized childhood. Can I say that? And I didn't really know it. I couldn't really do much self-reflection. I think I just got triggered. And what were the triggers? The first trigger was my first heartbreak. The second trigger was my poor relationship with my father and things going on with my stepfather and my mother. So I didn't really have anyone I could speak to apart from my psychologist. She deals with younger students, and if it wasn't for her, honestly, I don't think I would be sitting here right now. If you're listening, you know how much I love you. She's still in my life. She's like my guardian angel, and I'm super, super grateful. So I was battling. So whilst I was studying, doing my A-levels, trying to be a normal teenager, I was suffering from depression. I had also, they call it orthorexia or eating disorder. it was never like I would want to empty myself, if you know what I mean. It was never like taking any tablets to kind of also empty my stomach and everything. I was just stressing so much. And food is the only thing that I could control in my life. So I decided to just control what I'm eating. And I thought I'm eating super healthy, little animal protein, lack of pretty much carbs, super clean, no sauces, no anything. And obviously, as a teenager with also high metabolism, I have very high metabolism, I lost 7-8 kilos. And obviously, that has a big impact on your physical health, like your physical look, on your hormones, on your hair. Like most of my hair fell out, so I had to cut them very short. On your just libido, I didn't really crave connection with men. I didn't have that in me. Like I didn't even have the energy for that. I didn't find myself sexy, pretty. I was always shy. I was never confident. Like me back then, thinking that I'll be doing this with you, like speaking on camera. Like God, no. I would freak out. I couldn't even, putting a short dress for me was a torture because I wasn't comfortable in my body. Like I didn't love myself. That's it. I didn't love myself, and I was going through that whilst I was finishing my A levels. But once A levels were done, I thought, whatever, like, depression will just heal itself, like it'll go away. I'm free now. Especially when I got into my first uni choice, I was super happy. Family was super happy. So I just spent summer traveling with my friend. We went to Paris, Ibiza, we went to Sardinia. I was just traveling, but this like internal issue didn't disappear. It was just like kind of quietened down because I didn't have so much like stress and expectation when it came to education. When I actually, it hit end of September and I went to uni, the first week, freshman week, they're called, when you have to hang out, have fun, like meet everyone. I would just come for all the lectures, introductory lectures, and then I would just be gone. I do want to socialize with anyone because I was finally in London. I had my friends group. I was super happy. So I didn't really like socialize much at uni. I think that's also because I had this like underlying emotional issue that I wasn't really facing fully. I was kind of just working with my therapist, and I realized a lot. We worked through my childhood traumas connected to my family, my father, my mother. I think I will have a separate episode speaking just about childhood traumas because I think there's so many things that I can share that can help other people realize that certain things that are going on in your life now, they can be literally tied to what happened to you in the past. And when you know that, you can actually change trajectory, you can change how you react to things on your daily basis. So many realizations came through. My eating wasn't, I realized that I had to gain weight, but because I was so much focused on still, I was super stressed and I wasn't feeling my best because I was still like healing and trying to fix this food control and my confidence side with my therapist. Everything I ate just went through me, like not because I did anything, because I think I was not ready to heal. I wanted it, but I didn't fully want it. So I was still kind of eating, but my weight wasn't going up. My friends were kind of worried because I looked very thin. I looked quite unwell, to be fair, and I felt unwell. I think I did share in some of my episodes that I was so tired from studies at uni. I would literally like sleep for 3 hours in the afternoon for me to even go out somewhere, like for dinner or something. I was constantly tired, and I was not lacking iron. It was literally just lack of, I guess, calories and energy in me. That was going up throughout my uni, and I am a person who unfortunately faced COVID during my uni years. A year and a half in my studies, and actually it was going well. I like my degree. It's a pretty new one. It's called Digital Humanities. I can also go into into that more in a different episode, but it's basically a mix of humanities and the digital world and how digitalization affects all spheres of our lives, from politics, journalism, economy, culture. It's a great subject, but I'll tell you what's the problem with that degree. Whilst I was working with my therapist, also COVID happened. So obviously that puts another burden on you, especially someone who is suffering from depression or anxiety episodes. I also had to move apartments when COVID just struck. So when literally a week in, everyone was panicking, I was moving apartments to an area that I didn't know much about. It was close, it was Strand, so it was closer to my university. That was the logical thing, move to closer to university, because I didn't know we'll be stuck in our houses for like 2 years. So imagine me moving to be closer to university and then not being able to actually go to the university. So I never had the opportunity to use the facilities. And honestly, being a teenager at COVID alone is a disaster. I think just because I'm kind of disciplined, I was able to create a routine when I study, when I rest, but I was still kind of went back to this really controlling behavior on myself and being really controlling. Obviously, you couldn't really see friends. We would be just sneaking in and out. You couldn't see your uni mates. You couldn't see your tutor, especially when you're writing your dissertation. And that's so important. The whole system of King's College was so unhelpful, and for me it's such an eye-opening experience that I never thought that a uni like King's College could manage it so poorly when it came to extreme situations. They couldn't really adapt. The lectures would not be online. You couldn't really access it. No one would actually respond to our emails, maybe a week after, but that's just not really helpful, So I had to also take on a couple of extra courses, especially for programming and through different learning sites applications. So one of them was Udemy, and there are other ones as well. And I also had to get a tutor because I realized that, I know I'm paying that much money for university, and unfortunately, King's College didn't do anything about it. They just said, well, it is what it is. We're not gonna, compensate. But I realized that I also want to graduate well. So what I could do is basically try and put everything I could into education. Thankfully, my parents were very supportive of that when it comes to education. And they knew that I'm very responsible for that. They also wanted me to graduate well. I've graduated. And when I was submitting my dissertation, I thought I completely failed. I was so down by then. I also moved again. And I moved actually. I moved to a different environment. I moved to Hollow Park, to a different flat whilst doing my dissertation. But I made it. And when I received my results, I was shocked. I got first class honors. My dissertation got published. I got a prize for the publishing of dissertation. So that was a great shock. I felt it gave me more confidence, and knowing that in the future I shouldn't be so panicking about my not skills, but my powers, what I can do, not doubting myself, but actually believing in myself and knowing that I can. So my dissertation was on how do we see authenticity on social media platforms. It was really interesting. I really enjoyed researching about that. And I was really happy. And to be fair, it was like a stone lifted off my heart. I was so happy to be done with studies because I was studying for so long. Not like most of the teenagers that, would study and they will have their crazy era. I was studying. I took everything very seriously. I did go out, but I didn't completely go off the rails. I was still on this very educational track. So when I graduated, when I received my grades, when I received my certificate, I was I am done. I'm disappointed in this education. Especially after COVID, I just want to go into the world and work and put myself out there. So I told my parents, I don't want to do any MA degrees. I just want to go work. And I think my dad was very supportive of that because he thinks that you can't really learn through just studying. You have to learn through experience, especially, to be fair, if you want to learn something, you like read a book, take a course, go work somewhere. You don't have to commit 2 years of your life to one institution and then realize that you kind of wasted 2 years. So I've done different things. I wasn't really sure where to go. The graduate scheme wasn't very helpful either. So especially that was COVID and there was a lot of people who got fired and they were not taking on new employees, especially who were just young out of university. It was a very difficult situation. Many of my friends who were the same age, they also struggled with that a lot. The market is massive. Like there's a lot of students who graduate great unis, and then you have this like economy and lack of finances to take on new professionals. It's easier for the companies, where I realized, to actually upgrade or increase the position salaries of their current employees than to hire new ones, just because they're already trained and there's no point of wasting time, resources to hire new staff. But also then that leads to mismanagement of the companies, because there's just not enough people to handle everything. So people just burn out all these managers. It's really sad. The whole situation in England only now is, I think, 2 years ago, it was completely horrible. Now it's a bit better, but still it's really hard for many companies. And it's also very hard with employment in general, especially if you're young and very ambitious. Hence, I no longer work for the company. So that's what I want to talk about. My career. I graduated from digital humanities, and I told you it's like digital world meets humanities. And they kind of tell you there's so many opportunities and opens you so many doors. But honestly, if you think about it, like in terms of my skills, yes, I've learned a lot. Like I can program, I know how, all the journalism, digital politics, how corporations work, but it's not very specialized. So you can't really just apply to one position like a lawyer does, or programmer, or a graphic designer, and just, work in that field. So your eyes are all over the place. You don't know where to apply. So you start applying everywhere that meets your criteria from your graduate certificate. And many will say, well, but we knew where I want to work, the company we wanted to work. Well, me too, like I had good grades. I'm disciplined, I'm ambitious. I've applied to companies that I also wanted to work in, but only with one of them I had interviewed. The rest just didn't even respond. I don't think they even saw my email. And I was doing it without any connections. Like I was asking my father, Daddy, please, can you help me to get into this company or to work in this field? Can you like open the door or like lift the window so I can like jump in? I was really committed to being financially as well independent. So I didn't ask my father for help. He also wanted for me to work for him, and that was like a definitely no for me, because by that time I'd healed this controlling behavior. I looked more after my body and I started to gain weight, and that was incredible. I was super happy. My hormones were still not fixed, but I definitely didn't have so much tiredness and exhaustion in me. I had more energy, and I was seeking for a job, and I worked in different fields. I worked for a digital company. That didn't really work out. Then I worked for basically like a gallery, like an auction private gallery. That was really interesting, but then they weren't really taking anyone full time, because I thought, if they take me and then they'll put me full time, but then they didn't have enough finances to actually put people into the office. And they told me, look, we don't want to keep you here. Like if we're going to have more investment coming into our office, we'll obviously reach out. So I said, okay, thank you. Then I worked for one of the top fashion influencers in the UK. That was a great experience. I actually think we vibed a lot, because my mentality, I come from a well-off family, and certain things don't excite me or like I go crazy for, in a good sense. I'm also very mannered, and I think you wanted a person who like can be in this fashion slash popular industry with celebrities, not freaking out, running around, feeling unconfident, not being able to speak to them. Like, I knew how to approach them. I think you also felt comfortable with me. I've learned a lot, like how the whole monetization works, how brand approaches you as an influencer. Basically, you get percentages from different products or posts, let's say, across multiple platforms like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. And it gave me a lot of like realization what I can actually do myself. As I said, I wasn't sure, like before I also worked for branding that and sales and merchandising company for like a year, and it's a great company. But why did I leave? It's because I felt like I'm wasting my time. And that's why I quit. And I went to this exploration. I tried different jobs, as I said, like in different fields, because I wasn't sure. Like, I was sitting in that office, and yes, it's next to my home. It's a good company. There is growth. Like, actually, they didn't want me to leave. They actually offered me a better pay slip, but I realized that it's not even about the money. Not because I'm fortunate enough, but because I realized that I'm so young and like, what am I doing? Like, I literally felt like I'm wasting time, and it didn't just come to me in one day. It came to me like literally over days and days, like 2 months feeling this way. And I realized I need to leave, and I left. And that was time for the holidays. It was New Year's. And I also back then, it was a very transformative era for me, because I also then broke up with my boyfriend on New Year's, literally before New Year's, but in autumn. And then I quit my job and I went to study, and I studied counseling and psychology, because I realized that although I was doing a lot of growth, I never really fully went into self-analysis. And I also love sharing. All my friends know how much I love speaking, helping. Plus my mom, she's a psychologist. I love philosophy. I love learning about the mind, the brain, how humans react, what triggers us. I'm going to quit, and I'm also going to do online degree and receive a certificate in counseling, because it doesn't take that long, and it's not like you're a psychiatrist or a certified psychologist. Counseling is something different in the UK. I was studying and I was traveling and I wasn't sure where I was going, but I kind of like let go, and I allowed myself, first time in a very long time, just allow myself to float into nowhere, just drifting. Wherever I'll be taken, I'll go. And I was also very interested in podcasts. As much as I like speaking, I also like listening to people, to different ideas, viewpoints, how the development podcast, comedian podcast, like anything you give me, I will listen to it. On my walk, when I'm cleaning my house, I love podcasts. When I was finishing my counseling certificate and I was receiving the certificate, I thought, what can I do? What can I do? Something that will just make me feel uncomfortable, but also something that I really enjoy. And I started my podcast, which is called Unfiltered. Why is it called Unfiltered? Because I don't keep any filters here. I don't swear much, but I'm being very honest with you guys, because I feel like there's not much honesty going on now in our days of social media. It's a lot of fake content, a lot of people just trying to suck up to you just because they want something, or they want to appear better than who they actually are. There's so many like identities that are hidden behind the cameras that I really just wanted like to speak out to you guys, whether it's helpful or unhelpful, or you just want to like switch off. I wanted to speak, and no longer just speak in my group of friends or events. I wanted my voice to be heard, and that's why I called it Unfiltered, because there are other names, but I just thought something that will be very easy, something that we can all relate to. And I'm really grateful for my followers and everyone who listens to this podcast, because I think we have a great community, and I hope this community will be growing. But before I did realize that, I did everything myself, from album cover, production, editing. That was all on me, like the soundtrack. I think it's still the same, actually. Only the editing sometimes I outsource, because now I'm running my own company, but we'll get there now. So once I was doing this podcast, I finished my counseling. I was at this job with this fashion influencer, and I realized that there are also certain things happen in my life. I go back with my boyfriend, but that wasn't why I left my job. It's because I gained more confidence with this podcast after receiving certificate in counseling, after working through my body image, self-love, and I knew, okay, I respect that person a lot, but at this time of my life, I cannot commit to work with that person. And I would be lying by staying with him, by not doing my job 100%, not being committed 100%, because that's not something that I will be doing long term. And I think we left each other on good terms. I actually ran into him recently. You look great, Tim. He is a great guy, honestly, but it was time for me to leave. And I decided to fully engage into freelancing. After working everywhere, after gaining so much knowledge, I decided to dive into it. And I was facing a lot of criticism. Actually, that was for when I received my counseling certificate. One of my actually friends, she was quite, I think, aggressive. I can say that now in her expression of what I'm doing. And I think that's fine as long as you keep it to yourself. And I was very shocked that many people are so unhappy with themselves that they just want to grab onto something and put you down because they see you growing. And now I know that, but before it was really hard for me, to facing a lot of criticism and the talk, even coming from my family, what you'll be doing, how you're going to be earning money, like you have such good education, what are you going to be doing, like podcasting, counseling, like what is this? This is nothing legit. Because for them, they grew up differently, but they forget that they were also, freelancing. They were not working for companies. Like my dad started his own business, my mom also. So they were self-made with their own separate, spheres of interest that they grew themselves. And it's still going well. But they kind of, I guess they just wanted the best for me. But I kept my self-belief very strong because now that I finished my counseling degree, I worked with my therapist beforehand. I've learned a lot. I've read a lot. I spoke with you a lot. I've saw a lot. I worked a lot of places. I've realized that I just have to believe in myself, because if I don't believe in myself, no one will at the end of the day. Not my boyfriend, not my dog, not my mom, not my dad, no one. Literally, it's just me at the end of the day. I broke my goals into little steps, and every day I would do something. And sometimes days would be very shitty and I would feel very low because I didn't really see any progress, like physical progress, like the amount of clients that I wanted, or the growth of my company, the growth of my brand. It was very slow, but I never gave up. I continued pursuing it. And whilst I was seeing clients, something unexpected happened. As I said, I finished digital humanities, so I also did graphics, marketing. A lot of it was marketing, especially at my past jobs, and branding. Some of my family friends reached out to me asking if I can help them with marketing, branding suggestions, if I can create them a graphic design or a logo, different things, or analyze a website. That kind of took an unexpected turn because I thought I'll be only doing counseling. I'll be young people's counselor. I'll be doing my podcast. That's what I want. That's what I need. And that's what I believed in. But because I was more, let's say, in tune with the universe and my thoughts and the surroundings, I kind of took sides. So the more people started reaching out to me with different, let's say, marketing and branding requests, I realized that some things I did just out of good cause for free because of my family friend. But then I realized, okay, it's becoming a trend now. And I started, dedicating more time for that, editing myself, doing graphics myself, working marketing. And the more people reached out, the more my eyes opened to the fact that I'm good at that. And it comes naturally to me. As myself, not working for the company. And the great thing was that the podcast actually was the jumping point for that as well, because many people reached out to me through my podcast. Do you see what I'm trying to say? There was like a link. Like I didn't know I will end there. But because I believed in what I wanted and I did it in the right moment when I actually wanted it, it led me somewhere. So I kind of did some self-reflection, and I decided by this time, like, why not? I'll just start my own company, my branding, creative consulting company. And I didn't really put it out there. Like, some of my friends knew it. A lot of my family friends knew it. People, I would just spread word of mouth. I didn't market it. I didn't, create a website. I was just, doing it on the side, not talking about it much. But the more people will come, the more I realized, okay, this is a sign to build something and invest into. So the more people came in, I've started outsourcing for editing. I was still doing branding myself. PR, I will also outsource to different publishers, and I will, create a great relationship with them and work on that and be the face of the brand and meet with the clients and invest into finding new clients and mostly on sales and things like that came to editing and things that are mundane. I found two people with who I can work and outsource that for. Thank you so much, guys. So I decided to put together and name the company, but because I honestly, I don't think I've shared with anyone the name of the company. It was in my plans to actually announce it on my socials and start growing it, because it's something I believe in. It's something that I think is really bespoke, very one-to-one approach, and something that I'm really passionate about, especially making your ideas come into reality, whatever it is, whether it's a podcast or your brand or your product, to make it beautiful, to make people hear your voice and your ideas. I decided to name it Unfiltered because it came from my podcast. It makes sense. And we have the same strategy in my company. We have no filters. My clients know that I'm always on my phone. They can always reach out. We have very friendly communication. We can always reschedule a meeting. I can always see them. They can always speak out. It's very open. It's very friendly. And I called it Unfiltered Creative Consultancy. And that's where I'm now. And I think the last update is that I will be releasing more of the video format podcast. I'm also going to start my YouTube channel where I'll be giving tips on how to start your brand, what necessities do you need, how do you approach branding from the tone of voice to ideology to your slogan, who do you contact, what platforms do you use for editing, for graphics as a beginner, let's say, instead of like wasting thousands and thousands for like some luxury company in London or wherever you are in the world. You can switch on this video, you can learn basic things, and you can at least start on something, because there are other things like PR and marketing that I also want to share some tips on how to approach it and what companies to look for and the better approaches, I would say, for that, especially when it comes to PR, because I think PR is the most complex area. But yeah, that's where I'm now. Please give this video or audio a like, comment. I'll read all your comments, and look out for my YouTube channel. I'll be announcing it more on my socials, on my Instagram at Nicole Kaplan. I will also be sharing more tips as well on my actual page on Instagram as well. And yeah, I'm really grateful for your time that you listened and maybe also watched me this time. Please comment what topics you want me to discuss going forward, whether it's psychology focused or branding focused. And have a great day, have a great morning, have a great evening. I love you loads. Big kiss.